Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and you're watching Weird, Wild, and What the Fuck for the 11th of October, 2017. And if you're asking yourself why things look a little bit different, why I'm not in my darkened man cave / office at my home in Washington, that's because I'm currently in Los Angeles for the Vid Summit 2017, where over the course of the next couple of days, I will be learning all of the odds and ends about YouTube to not only make this channel better, but to hopefully help other people understand what's happening and then ultimately make YouTube great again by having informed creators. That's my goal. That's why I'm here. I'm super excited, but it still takes me away from the average everyday grind. So of course, we're going to be getting one video a day with this until I get home. So yay! But anyway, first up today, I didn't want to talk about this particular story involving Presidente Trump. I talk about Trump sometimes in passing. I haven't made a video about him in quite some time. I normally try not to make videos about him, but I had to talk about this because this, my friends, is just, in my opinion, it's just dumb. Okay, and it definitely falls under the WTF category of this particular video series. So last week it came out that there was a report from NBC that Rex Tillerson over the course of the summer had threatened to resign his post as Secretary of State, and after one particular contentious meeting with Donald Trump in front of a group of other people, called him a fucking moron. Now, this came out last week. Rex Tillerson held a press conference to kind of refute, not really refute. He never denied what he said, but he basically said this is kind of like malarkey, and where I come from, we never do this sort of petty nonsense. You're the CEO of ExxonMobil. I'm pretty sure you have people's entire families eviscerated. But the point I'm trying to get to here is that he had to come out and not deny that he called the president a moron. But Trump, in probably the most Trumpian way possible, decided to respond by saying, I think it's fake news. But if he did that, I guess we'll have to compare IQ tests, and I can tell you who's going to win. Now, this is the biggest problem with Donald John Trump, right? 45th president of the United States, in my opinion. And that is his ego and his narcissism is just completely unchecked. And it's up to everyone else around him to manage that, to make sure he doesn't go completely off the rails, but it doesn't really stop things. You have Charles Brown, who is the head of American Mensa Association. He's saying, "Oh yeah, we'll totally hold the debate or hold the IQ tests if that's what they want to do. Never mind the fact that the IQ tests as a whole aren't necessarily the most proven science out there. It's not junk science, but it's not 100% proven." So some people out there who were recently going off about race realism, they kept trying to cite IQs, and it just didn't really have a lot to go on there, to be honest with you. With that being said, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has come out and said, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's Trump's equivalent of saying, what's the deal with airline peanuts? That's what they're trying to do, because her job at this point is to run damage control. Now, the reason why this particular thing bothers me as much as it does is because I feel Trump has been openly antagonistic of Rex Tillerson. And he can do so because, well, Rex Tillerson isn't going to necessarily fight back. Jeff Sessions isn't going to necessarily fight back. The only one in his cabinet that I think would legitimately fight back would be Mattis. And nobody wants to mess with Mattis. Nobody wants to mess with him. So, he's going to clearly pick what he believes, and this is Trump I'm talking about here. Trump will pick who he believes is essentially the weakest link and chip away at them in order to get them to either comply or quit. He treats everything like he would a reality TV show, and personally, I'm just sick and freaking tired of it. Rule with some kind of idea like you know what you're doing. Kim Jong-un is a sociopathic, narcissistic douchebag, but he at least rules with an iron fist, not a lazy-ass tweet. And that's the big problem here. I'm not trying to say that Kim Jong-un is better than Trump, because no way, he's not at all, period. But you can see the differences in leadership styles. Trump is trying to be more than what he is, and that is not working out well for him. I don't think he is a horrifically bad person. I think that when he actually tries, when he actually does something, he can do the right thing. I think he can do the right thing for the country. But the problem with it is everything boils down to him of optics and ratings. And if the ratings are bad, the optics better be something good or something he can use in his favor. But this is a situation where he just comes out looking like a complete fucking moron. All right, moving over into salacious Hollywood news. Today has had really crappy movie news, except for Harvey Weinstein. This is the destruction of a dynasty. And I'm not going to lie, I don't feel bad that it's happening. Harvey has been a bully and a blowhard for a long time. And this is very apparent in satiristic shots at him that have come out multiple times throughout the years. Look at HBO's Entourage. You had a character named Harvey, who was an over-the-top, overbearing asshole producer. That's Harvey Weinstein without naming him directly. Not a lot of people out there like Harvey on a personal level. And so this moment when he is down, when the death by 1,000 cuts is happening, people are going to take their shots. Now look, I listened to the audio of him and the Italian model. What he said was very much deplorable. It was despicable. And I find it to be fascinating that, you know, all of these times recently you're hearing about sexual predators, and it's not conservatives, it's diehard liberals, which is just really interesting when you think about it, but it's not really the point. The point is, you know, there was a big push to try to get responses out of those who've worked with Harvey for years. Matt Damon came up quite a bit, and Ben Affleck. Matt Damon was brought up in the sense that he and Russell Crowe, and this was the alleged part, had tried to kill a 2004 New York Times story basically showcasing the assaults that Harvey Weinstein had committed, 13 years ago. Matt Damon has basically refused that. He has denied that allegation, and it's Matt Damon, so I don't think anyone's really going to believe that this is something he would do. It's Matt Damon. But that being said, people also really liked Jimmy Savile, so anything could happen at this point. But Ben Affleck actually responded today by saying this: "I am saddened and angry that a man who I worked with used his position of power to intimidate, sexually harass, and manipulate many women over decades. The additional allegations of assault that I read this morning made me sick. This is completely unacceptable, and I find myself asking what I can do to make sure this doesn't happen to others. We need to do better at protecting our sisters, friends, coworkers, and daughters. We must support those who come forward, condemn this type of behavior when we see it, and help ensure there are more women in positions of power." Now, outside of just the general virtue signaling part of the end there, I agree with what he has to say. You have got this situation with Harvey Weinstein and Devin Faraci and Harry Knowles and Andy Signor and other men in Hollywood that have most definitely committed these kinds of atrocities. Hollywood is very much a place that does prey on you, and actually I find that funny that I'm saying that as I'm just not too far away from the epicenter of all of this madness in Los Angeles. But at the same time, there are tons and tons and tons of amazing, great people in LA. I just want to make that abundantly clear. There are sickos, there are definitely abusers, but the vast majority of people are just amazing people who, are just trying to make their way in this world. Now, the big problem with what Ben Affleck had to say is the response from Rose McGowan. They worked together back in 1998 on Phantoms. You might remember that line from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. "Yo, Affleck was the bombs in Phantoms, yo." Right, that line that I totally butchered in the beginning. But that's when they worked together, and they haven't worked together since. Now, apparently at the time, because that was a Dimension film property, which was a subsidiary of Miramax, that Harvey Weinstein was involved, this might have been the time that Rose McGowan was paid off by Harvey Weinstein. We know that she was paid off. There was a settlement made. We don't know what else happened. But she didn't believe what Ben Affleck said, because it comes across as Affleck not knowing anything about the allegation or anything about this particular open secret in Hollywood. And she actually went on Twitter and said, "God damn it, I told him to stop doing that. You said that to my face. The press conference I was made to go to after assault, you lie." Now, this apparently is meant to indicate that Affleck was fully aware of what Harvey had done, or at least Harvey had actions towards Rose McGowan back in the 90s, and he had, complained to Harvey Weinstein to stop. As I said in the beginning of the segment, Harvey Weinstein is a powerful, powerful man in Hollywood. So the likelihood of Ben Affleck actually having any direct impact on him, probably didn't work. Affleck wasn't really big back in 1997, 1998. But you also heard reports about Gwyneth Paltrow and Harvey Weinstein, and then Brad Pitt stepping up and chewing him out, and then Harvey backing down, and Brad Pitt having confirmed that. So I would say that there was definitely in the 90s this action by Harvey Weinstein. I would say that this predatory nature was definitely on full display. So whether or not Affleck knew about that is not something we're going to ever really know. It's possible he knew about the rumors and chose not to do anything about them. It's possible it could just be, worked up as another one of those Hollywood mysteries, which there are tons of rumors that make their way around. I mean, look at gossip magazines. It's very much hard to tell. But when it comes to Rose McGowan herself, I have to take what she says with a grain of salt. And it's not because I don't believe her and necessarily. It's because she likes to get herself in these situations and try to make them crazier than they are. Look at the X-Men Apocalypse billboard from last year, where Apocalypse had Mystique by the throat, clearly showing a main character from this film franchise, arguably the main character from X-Men Apocalypse, in a moment of mortal danger, and she chose to make it about sexism and make it about problems in Hollywood, so on and so forth. So Rose McGowan, hit or miss depending on how you want to look at her credibility. That's all I'm going to say about that. But again, this goes to show you that these problems do exist in Hollywood. Corey Feldman has talked about the predatory nature of some executives in terms of pedophilia. Elijah Wood has made comments alluding to the sort. We have heard many stories about this over the years. And so it is time to take a deep look into these problems, into these accusations, and determine whether or not they're real. We determine whether or not they're just made up stuff trying to destroy someone's career. And if they are real, to put a stop to them. These producers, these people of power that do abuse their power, do need to be stopped. And the only way to do that is to start getting it all written down, start coming out when it happens and reporting it. Get a paper trail. Make sure people know what's going on. Because that, and I've said this before, and I will reiterate this till the end of time, that is how you get justice. And finally today, guys, we have ourselves an update over the nurse who was falsely arrested for doing her job. Now, you might remember this from a couple months ago. The University of Utah Medical Center's nurse Alex Wubbles was on duty when an unconscious patient came in, followed by a detective by the name of Jeff Payne. Jeff Payne wanted Alex to give him blood samples so then he could run them for drugs or alcohol or so on and so forth. Alex said he's not under arrest, he hasn't been charged, and you don't have a warrant, so I cannot give you. Oh, he's unconscious, so he hasn't given consent. That was the other thing. So they can't give anything. And then of course, they went and they arrested her. Detective Jeff Payne grabbed her, dragged her outside, cuffed her, and arrested her. And as a result of all of this, as a result of Nurse Payne protecting a patient from this kind of unlawful, taking of his blood, right? Now, and the other thing too with that is the rumor with that, by the way, right? I'm not sure if it's a rumor or how real it was, but the driver in question, the truck driver involved in the accident, wasn't drunk and was actually like a volunteer police officer. And so that was the whole thing. The story tried to change, that they were trying to make sure he was okay, so they wanted to take his blood, but ended up arresting the nurse who didn't give it to him. Well, after everything was all said and done, they fired Detective Jeff Payne, who, by the way, was also fired as his job previously as a paramedic. So that just goes to show you precisely how far this guy is willing to go in order to get the job done and can be a complete douchebag in the process. So I'm glad that this has essentially a happy ending. I'm glad that this detective, who showcased an egregious abuse of power for whatever reason, was in fact terminated. I have no ill will towards the nurse and her actions. I think she was actually a hero. I think she did her job to the absolute best of her ability, even though it garnered her an arrest, which I'm sure at this point has been expunged from her record if she ever was actually charged. But it does get another power-hungry cop off the streets, and at this point, look, we really, really need that. So I'm really hopeful that this will send a message to other police officers out there, like, hey, stop being dicks just because you don't get your way. Alright gang, that wraps up this episode of Weird, Wild, and What the Fuck. My name, of course, is Matt Jarbo, otherwise known as Mundane Matt. I am very much sorry if this comes across as being a bit more disjointed than usual. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep over the course of the past 2 days, so here we are. But tomorrow there'll be another episode coming up, and I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.